Larry, how are you, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
This is like the most happening booth in the whole of this place. I walk up, I see Reed Shippen.
Yep.
And then Jason Lenning.
Yep.
And you. Like, it was just like this, all just hanging out.
A lot of, we attract the engineers.
Oh,
you know. And Reed writes for us, writes for Tape Op.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he writes gear reviews and stuff occasionally.
He does?
Yep. Yep.
How do I get that gig?
Give me a call.
Okay, I'm going to give you a call. Look, I know I do this all the time, but this is the best magazine out there. It's really incredible. We're going to do a landing page on Produce Like a Pro, so you can just go and sign up for it.
There's the information.
Yeah,
free subscriptions.
Free. That's why every engineer and mixer and producer loves it.
Because they're broke.
So how you been? How was your party?
I was good. It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Everything's been great. I've been really, really busy. But other than that, yes.
You've been making records?
Yes. In fact, I finished tracking a record, and then I jumped on a plane the next morning, and I came here, and now I'm doing this. So yeah, it's back to back.
So he just interviewed Paul, and
yes.
Paul did most of the engineering on the first Frey record, and then I came in at the end.
Oh, right.
And I retracked some stuff.
Oh, that's crazy.
Not that he made any mistakes. Don't get me wrong.
No.
It's just our business, you know. And but Paul taught me the small diaphragm acoustic guitar miking technique that I use. It's where you go off the body, low down using a KM. So you've got the sound hole here, and you mic off there, and you aim it away. I stole that from him, and that is my favorite acoustic guitar miking because it gets all the body, so you get kind of the percussive aspect of it.
Not too boomy.
Yeah, not too boomy.
Not too boomy. Yeah.
Well, the classic way is at the 12th or 14th fret.
Right.
The smiley face.
Yeah.
So Paul's a very clever engineer. The thing about Paul's engineering is it's like he's very, he gets really great natural sounds.
Yeah.
He's like knows where to put the mic in the right place.
I know the story about tracking with one microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Tracking John Mellencamp. I almost said John Cougar. John Mellencamp with one.
We're of the age.
Johnny Cougar.
Johnny Cougar. Cougar Mellencamp.
But doing
John Mellencamp.
Mr. John Mellencamp with one mic and a whole band and having to like move people around and saying like you got to sing a little quieter here or do this thing, and it's pretty wild. I thought that was just amazing because that's like that goes so far back to like original electrical recording type stuff. You know.
Have you been to Sun yet?
A long time ago.
Because I hear that, don't they have it marked off where people stood?
Yeah, I think they kind of do or something.
That's pretty awesome.
It's crazy. That room is, you walk in there and you think, this isn't right.
It's just,
You're like, you're thinking like, this is just not going to be like the kind of room that's going to make a great recording. But guess what?
It makes amazing recordings.
It did, and it still does. It's true.
Yeah. And then Matt, what's Matt's last name?
Ross Spang.
Sorry, we're gonna talk to him.
Yeah.
He's just completely rejuvenated that place from what I hear.
He is, and now he's working over at Sam Phillips Recording.
Wow.
Which is a really beautiful studio that was built in the mid-'60s. I can't remember the exact era, but it's very unique. It's got a really cool decor and this giant live room, really cool space. And he and Jeff Powell's over there mastering now too.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that should be that's pretty interesting what's going on over there. It's a really cool place.
I love this because we had that period when you and I were kids when studios started to turn into like pine, perfectly designed things, huge monitors, and everything was so sterile.
Everything had to be the same.
Yeah.
Every studio.
And they had to make $2,000 a day to stay in business.
Right.
And now the way the music industry has changed, now we're going back and rediscovering the studios that actually have and I hate this word, but I'm going to use it, have a vibe. They have a sound.
Yeah.
I hate vibe because when I was a musician, producers used to say that.
It's vibe.
Hey man, I dig the vibe. Like, what do you mean?
Vibe for days.
Yeah, that's so vibey, man. It's like, can you just tell me what you like about it? Or don't like?
It's like using the word warm.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Warm.
It's got a tube on it, so it's warm.
But I know there's a company called Warm right across here, which I think that's a great name for a company.
Yeah.
But when someone says, I want that to sound warmer, I don't know what they mean. But anyway.
Quite often with singers, they mean air over the top.
Which doesn't warm.
So warm to me is like 150 and below.
Yeah.
It's not 10K and above.
Yeah, but hey, whatever works.
I know.
It's all about figuring it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Communicating with the artist. When you figure it out, will you let me know?
Yeah, it's always different. I love that part. That's why we do it.
I know.
Every day I go to work, it's a different a different problem to solve.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I'm like, I walk in and I'm like, you know, I'm going to have a different set of things I have to pull out of my hat every day, and I love that. Because otherwise, if it was just going in and setting up things a certain way and looking at a sheet, this is how it has to be done today, and then stepping aside, not listening or thinking or feeling the music, I wouldn't want to be involved.
You just drop dead of boredom.
Not interested.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I'm not like multitasking and thinking of 50 things at once, I feel like I'm going backwards.
I got to have everything on my plate.
Yeah.
You know, I recently worked with a band that had 6 members, and when they were done, they were like, "My God, you figured this all out!" Like on the first day, I'm like, "Yeah, that's my job."
That's amazing.
I figured out who the different people are, what their roles are.
Now, I noticed you've been doing these courses where you can go and work with you for a day.
2 days. Well, I do a one-on-one thing that's individual, or I do a group class that's a weekend, 2 days. And people bring in their mixes, and we listen to their mixes, and then we listen to the multi-tracks, and we talk about things that weren't working, or things that could have been mic'd differently, or treated differently. Like all the stuff you would do. If you were saying remixing a job for somebody, and here's a rough mix, I can beat that, and let me show you why.
Fantastic.
So it's a really good way for people that are like home recording or small studios, and they're kind of getting their feet on the ground to come in and just get a real push forward, you know. That's
really cool.
We talk about phase a lot. We talk about frequency masking a lot. We talk about some basic stuff of that, but also like, you know, front to back depth, stereo spread, those kind of things, you know, the stuff.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's really, when you're really hands-on and you got tracks to react to, it really comes natural.
See, I relate, everything you just said I completely relate to, because when I see some of these tutorials, and I'm not going to, they're talking about like fixed ideas. Like boost this and cut that. To me, it's like there's,
you got to have something to react to.
Yeah.
Like it's like going to the studio and someone says, "How are you going to mic this vocal?" Well, I haven't heard it yet.
Right.
I'll tell you after I hear it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to tell you. I could tell you like a bunch of different ways I might mic it. It could be an RE20. It could be an SM7. It could be a U47. I don't know. Right. What are we trying to do?
No substitute for acquired knowledge.
Yeah. I hate that stuff. I hate the idea of like plug and play ideas. Like, I mean, you need to use those eventually to solve problems, but you need to listen and respond like a musician first.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Most of the time, our job is to not screw it up.
I think so. You stay out of the way when you need to, interfere when you need to.
Dave Johnathan said to me, like, sometimes you have to go in there and rewrite the whole song, and other times you just have to get out of the way of the musician and just help them make a great record. I've
worked with so many artists where I would not, if I'd been told I was supposed to be more involved, I would have ruined it. You know, like Elliott Smith. I remember one time I was like, "Do you really have to double your vocals?" And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Why are you doubling all the harmonies?" He's like, "Just let me do the He does it all. I listen. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'll stay out of the way. You know, you don't have to tell. You didn't have to tell him what to do.
It's the skill. That's the skill set, isn't it? Knowing when to do it, when to step in, and when to stay out.
That's how I learned. Saying the wrong things.
You and me both.
Yeah.
I listen to some of my early mixes and go, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Like so scooped and EQ'd and everything's so perfect. There's no vibe. No, there's no life in the mix.
It's not warm.
It's not warm.
No, I know what you mean.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So we're gonna put a landing page. Everybody, please, you gotta subscribe to this. You know why? Because we're not selling anything. It's free. And look, Don Was, Pete Seeger, Chris Cody, Scott Hull, Paul Mahan. Check him out. Amazing engineer. Really amazing engineer.
Next issue is gonna be amazing. Got some great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun.
I read this. The Don Was interview
so fun.
So good.
The best thing is you hang out with them, and I'm like, "Oh, I gotta take a photo at the end," and he goes, "Just a minute." He puts on the glasses, puts on the hat, comes back like, "There's Don Was."
Ace Frehley does the same thing. He's hanging out. He's Ace Frehley, and then he says, "Do a photograph," and he's like, goes, gets the hair right, puts the glasses on, and comes back.
Yeah, put it all together. That's the way
and
you do
then points at you when you take the photograph.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching. You rock. Thanks, man. So we're here with Dustin at Luke Audio. The reason why I stopped is because my good friend, Lucas Pimentel, who's been on the show, who is a champion of the show, and is just generally a pretty freaking awesome guy, has been just hitting me over the head to try out these mics. And they did have a night where they were working and they were showing all the mics, and of course I had to work on a mix till 2 in the morning. So I stopped to talk to Dustin about them. So what can you tell us about the mics?
Yeah, so here we got the Luke Audio ALX line, which features the 4 different mics, everything from a CK12 capsule, the 251, the 67 and 47, all handmade, hand-built here in Nashville, all locally sourced products. You know, we're not sending anything overseas to be done. Everything's built by Alan Luke himself, the owner, operator, manufacturer.
Is that including the capsules, or is it
including the capsules? Yeah.
Oh, so he's making.
So right here we've got our examples of our capsules, and all these literally are hand built. Everything from the sputtering to the platinum diaphragm. We're the only company in the world using a 1 micron platinum diaphragm.
Oh, that's amazing.
So the tensile strength, the SPL levels it can handle, everything is a lot higher. So it translates into a beautiful sound. We're getting great vibrations out of these. We're getting a lot of good feedback. The applications are endless, from vocals to drums, guitars. We've got some that specifically sound amazing on upright bass.
And what are we talking about price-wise?
Price range, all 4 of these are hanging out at $2,000, so very well priced.
For a handmade microphone, that's great.
And then everything handmade, you know, and that's what we really are trying to stress is how.
Does he build them on his own?
Mm-hmm.
Yowza.
Yeah, hand built, hand sputtered. He has his own sputtering machine. We do it all.
Wow.
So it's pretty awesome. So, you know, it kind of goes after Alan's personality. He's a hot rodding kind of guy. He's got nice cars himself. He likes to make mics like his cars. You know, they're upgraded, they're faster, they're hotter, they look better, they're sexy. You know.
Does he play guitar?
He plays guitar as well. He's also a luthier. We're not premiering any of that stuff here today. The goal is to get the mics out.
I just think about it, because like all the guitar players I work with are all into building hot rods and stuff.
Yeah.
Jeff Beck builds hot rods.
Exactly.
And he's an amazing guitar player. Danny Gatton built hot rods and was an amazing guitar player.
I think it speaks volumes to like the artistry.
That sort of brain,
Yeah, you get the people that, you know, the artists and the people that are the manufacturers. He's one of those guys that he transitions that gap.
That's amazing. Well, thanks very much. I got to try these out. I'm going to hit up Lucas and
absolutely.
And get to it. So I'm here with Mike from Serpent. How are you?
Hi.
Now this, you designed and built, yes?
Yes, correct.
Great. So tell us all about it.
This is the Splice. It is a hybrid of the classic 1176 design.
Yep.
It allows you to switch between classic blue stripe or blackface, or you can mix and match the input and the output stages, the two, to create totally new things.
Okay, treat me like an idiot, because I kind of am an idiot. I'm definitely not an expert. What is the main differences between the black and the blue?
Well, the blue is the original circuit design. It's noisier, grittier. Grittier, yes. Okay. The black was an improvement on that original design, trying to clean it up. It's basically a cleaner version of it.
I see.
Less distortion. The output stage, same deal. Not quite as sonically apparent as the input stage.
Sure.
So it's a little more subtle on the switching on the output. So right now we're in blue mode, so both the input and the output stage are both in classic blue stripe circuitry.
Hence the blue.
Correct.
Right. Well done.
Yes. Now back in black, or you can mix and match between the two. So the input to a blue, output to the black, or vice versa.
Very nice.
Input and output operation, same as on classic input drives.
Feels nice.
Compression, attack and release. Just working my way over here.
Sure.
This is output loading, 600 ohm termination.
Okay,
Using it for modern gear. Just flip the switch. Just have to climb behind your rack and try to attach a 600 ohm resistor there. If you're using it for with other vintage equipment, you probably want to turn it off, or maybe you'd want to turn it on.
Sure. It's depending on what you want to do to it. Yeah.
Sure. External input, there's an external input connection on the back.
The keying.
There's send and return, so you can send out and return back in. So do it, key input, ducking, etc. Link, you can stereo link 2 units.
Great.
Slam mode, aka all buttons in.
Okay, all buttons in, right.
You can actually get a little bit of variance. If you want the classic all button in sound, you'd actually set the ratio to 4 or 20. If you have the ratio set to 8, 12, or 2, and engage slam, you actually get a different sonic characteristic. So even more possibilities there. Sidechain filters.
I love this, up to 280.
Yep, up to 280. So
nice.
Tons of flexibility there. Integrated blend knob. So engage it there. You can
So you can use like a parallel compressor?
Correct. You can do parallel compression, squash it all you want, and dial it back a bit.
Nice.
Output gain reduction switch and hard bypass. This also has a soft bypass too.
I was going to say, what's that bypass difference there?
It's soft bypass. It's still no compression will take place, but you're still getting the sonic characteristics of all the circuitry.
Oh, so this is like true bypass.
That's a true hardwire bypass.
Okay, so you're going to hear your completely clean signal.
Correct.
And then you do this, and you're going to get the sound of the transformers, etc.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Have you driven a mic with this? Can you drive a mic with it? Have you tried driving a mic with it?
No, you probably want to hook a preamp up to it.
The only reason why I say is because Dave Jordan and Brian Karlstrom always used to stick mics in the front of 1176s and crank them. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you could. I don't,
Yeah, nice. Well, this is great. I love this. All these different side chains: 60, 90, 132, 80. It's important. Like when I was working with Jim Scott, he uses a pair of 1176s on his mix bus.
Oh, really?
People wouldn't think of 1176s, so now it makes them even more useful because, of course, you can put this on your mix bus and let the bottom end breathe.
Sure.
Very nice. I like it. And this is good, so you can have your parallel set up the way you want it and then come in and out and check it out.
Correct.
Oh, what's it retail at?
Retail list price is $18.99.
How much?
$18.99.
$18.99. Right. So this is pretty nifty. We're just talking about obviously the ability to have like a, turn any compressor into a parallel compression by, you can squash the heck out of your drums and then bring this back and get that right blend. What he's invented here is the send and blend, where you can run this with any compressor.
Correct.
Or any unit.
Anything. EQ,
distortion,
name it.
saturation, whatever.
Anything you want.
So what this will now, it will turn any device that you want to use into a parallel device where you can blend in your drive signal for the original signal source with the effect of anything. That's pretty tasty. So, and you said this is true bypass?
Yes, true bypass control, so you can switch between either your original dry or wet, so you're not locked in one way or the other if you have it hooked up. And the front panel here, if you have an Omniport, then everything gets wired on the back. Right. If a rack without Omniport, then you would run it through your front panel jack here.
That's fantastic. Really, really nice. How much are these?
List $3.99.
$3.99?
Yep.
That's cool. If you've got an old like Altec or something.
Well, sure, and that was really
crazy.
A lot of the modern gear now is starting to incorporate the mix control in there, but all the how much vintage gear is out there.
I got a couple of old crappy Altecs which sound amazing. Sound terrible, but sound amazing.
Right, amazingly terrible.
It's amazingly terrible.
Or terribly amazing.
Yeah, now I can just basically do this with the needle and then blend it in. Great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks. All right, this is awesome. So I'm here with Rupert Neve, just interviewing Johnathan Pines. I was in mid-interview and I stopped to talk to Glenn for a second.
How's it going,
How are
you?
you?
Hey, Warren. Nice to meet you, man.
So he has, I think, the best rock YouTube channel there is, SpectreSound. Dude,
More metal than rock.
well, yeah, heavy rock then. Is that okay?
That's fine. That works, yeah.
I'm not that genius when it comes to that kind of genre. Look at
There you
this. If you haven't watched this channel, you have to watch it. And it's awesome. Stop cupping the mic, dumbass. It's funny, it's informative, and I think people learn a lot because it's funny.
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea. I mean, like, you can beat people over the head with facts all you want, but if you're not entertaining about it, nobody's going to watch it. So what's the point?
Yeah, it's really.
You might as well be a high school teacher.
When you do the stupid things musicians say texts,
Yes.
and you read those out.
Yeah.
Those I've had every single one of those.
Oh yeah, I know. It's just it's something it's something very in common, and it's like. Yeah, it's like we all go through it, eh? So it's great. People send me this stuff. It's like, yep, been there, done that. Let's do a video on that kind of thing. So it's great.
I probably said all those stupid things as well when I was.
Oh,
in a
sure.
band.
I'm sure we all have at one point as well too. It's like some of the stuff like, yeah, that was probably 16-year-old me saying that, but let's not share that little tidbit. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So it's really taken off your channel. I love it.
Yeah, it's blown me away. Just I started doing this seriously about 2 years ago, and it's just gone beyond my wildest imagination.
That's amazing.
Where it would wind up. So I'm absolutely thrilled with the results so far, and it's taken me places I would have never dreamed where it would have went. So.
Are you still getting to make music of your own and everything?
Oh fuck no. No, not really. It's like, no, I'll leave the making music up to the musicians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll record them. That's
Okay,
basically
good.
how that works.
Oh, now, whereabouts are you based?
I'm based in Windsor, Ontario.
Oh, Windsor. Okay,
Yeah.
great. How far is that from Toronto?
No, it's not great. But
No, it's not.
no. It's like it's like in Star Wars. There's a bright, shiny center to the universe. It's the place that it's farthest from. It's about 4 hours to the southwest of Toronto.
Okay, right.
We're like right on the Detroit border. And
Wow.
the best thing about Windsor is we're it's Detroit. And you know your town sucks when you say the best thing about your town is Detroit.
Well, Detroit had Iggy and the Stooges.
Oh yeah, they're
The best cars.
yeah.
I grew up in England watching Starsky and Hutch.
Okay.
So all I wanted was American muscle cars. from the
Interesting.
late
I
60s.
grew up in Canada watching Benny Hill.
Hey, you know. So you just wanted women. No, anyway. That's
Benny Hill was a
we're not
mad
gonna-
genius.
He was a mad
I
genius.
love Benny Hill, man.
You know, when he died, he didn't trust banks. They found his fortune literally under his bed.
No kidding.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was
Wow.
reading through a newspaper, and he
That's
died a
amazing.
long time ago. And
Yeah,
he had,
I know.
He had hundreds of thousands of pounds under his bed.
Wow.
But he didn't trust banks.
That's amazing.
And he had this sort of second career because he was successful in the 60s and 70s in England. And then in Canada and America, the shows got huge.
Yeah.
So he was making all this residual income from over
Right.
here. Crazy.
It's amazing stuff.
So I'm having a great time at Summer NAMM. I feel like this is better than Winter NAMM. Because there's like so many more like guys,
It's
like
a little
real
bit more
musicians.
chill. Yeah, it's a little more chill. It's a little bit smaller. You can kind of stroll through it, see everything, spend a little more time hanging
Yeah.
out at the booth, that kind of thing, and meet cool people like you, man.
Yeah, man. I'm really, really happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Same here, man.
Everybody go and check out his channel. We're going to put the link
Oh.
here, so you're going to click on it. If you're into metal, as you put it, or any rock, if you want to learn. He and I do differ on stuff. You know, I worked with Aerosmith on the last album, and I did use the occasional drum sample. Glenn, not a big fan of the drum sample.
No, not really. See if I
But
have any others here.
I still respect it, because if you want to learn how to make your drums great and you don't want to use samples, follow Glenn. This is great. Smarter than your drummer. The sticker is smarter than your drummer. Which is awesome.
There you go. You can have that too, man.
Thank you, man. So please check out his channel. Is it SpectreSoundStudios?
Yes, SpectreSoundStudios, or you can just look up Glenn Fricker, and yeah, that's where it goes.
Right.
Thank you so much for saying
Thanks,
hi,
man.
Warren. It's fucking so nice to meet you.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, everybody.
All right, take care.
Hi, I'm here with Dan from Revv Amps.
Good
Now,
to-
this is your baby. This is your company. You design and build
Yes,
this.
sir. Yeah, I've been at it for about, say, 5-6 years now. I simply couldn't find my tone, in any other type of amplifier, so I decided to design my own, and here we are, now at Summer NAMM.
So Glenn, who, as we all know, is like the man when it comes to rock tones.
Absolutely.
I said, look, I want to hear a really good heavy amp. So he's like, the best one, and he just pulled me over here.
Nice.
Like dragged me from the other side of the building over here to hear your amps.
Glenn is a good man, a good man.
Dan is a good man. And we played through this, which is
Yes.
insane, and you can run on 10 watts.
Yep, absolutely.
Just hear it on 10 watts for a second so we don't blow out the mics. Bags of sustain and just super creamy. But then I asked about this. This goes down to 7 watts.
Yes.
And it has 3 of the best tones. Like at the moment it's on a lead tone. It's only 7 watts. It's a really, really fat lead tone. Let's go to the crunch section.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Channel 1 Crunch.
This makes me. Fantastic.
Sounds great, man.
And of course there's a clean tone.
Yes. Channel 1 also features pristine clean.
love about coming to the Summer NAMM.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not just recording gear where I live most of my life, but there's all this beautiful guitar stuff.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that Glenn brought us up. Tell us a little bit about this amp, seeing as it's quite visible what's going on. So what are you got in there? You got a lot of tubes.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got 4 12AX7s and a 12AT7 in there. It's a tube buffered effects loop, which is the purpose of the 12AT7.
Great.
2 channels. Channel 1 features clean and crunch, as you just demonstrated. Channel 2 then features your high gain, or depending on what you want to do with it. I mean, essentially, it was designed to be a higher gain amplifier, but you know, should you run a Tele or a Strat through it and bring that gain right down, you're in country territory. I mean, it's so versatile. You can almost do anything through it. Channel 2 also features contour, some EQ boosts, and then what I like to do with my amplifiers is add gain boosts, which I call in this particular amplifier the aggression settings, which allow you to scale up or down depending again what you're doing and what kind of guitar you're running, just to give you the best of any genre you're interested in playing at the time.
It's so good.
Absolutely. It's also got microcontroller technology inside to allow you to save presets and a very intelligent foot controller that comes with it as well.
Ah, that's what it's down here.
Yeah.
So good. It's a beautiful amp. I love the look of it, to be honest. What do you have as a speaker in here?
What we're using in our cabinets right now are warehouse guitar speakers. This particular model here are 1x12 what's called an ET90.
Yeah.
And we found that it was just the best round tone that we could find out of their lineup. And when we played it through this amplifier, it was meant to be.
Fantastic.
It was meant to be, yeah.
It's hard to tell through little microphones, obviously, the guitar tone, but the tones are fantastic. Incredibly versatile.
Awesome. Yeah. It's one of those things where you do have to experience it for yourself, because it is an experience.
Yeah.
You know, microphones can only capture so much in this type of setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? It's a very popular little amp right now.
I'm really, really impressed. And Glenn's a good man.
He's a very good man.
Thank you.
I'm so glad he brought you by. So
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Wonderful stuff. It's Warren Huart here, but produced like a pro, and Johnathan Pines.
Here we are on the floor of the 2016 Summer NAMM show with Warren Huart, Produced Like a Pro, our favorite video series. The great thing about hanging with Warren is he has so many good friends and he's done so much real work. This is what I like talking to you about, because you actually make records. There's a series of people who do this that like to talk about records but don't make records. So people who make records, I have mad respect for.
Well, thank you. And you've made many records yourself.
Every now and then I get to have a little fun in this industry, and this is one of the great things about it. And it was wonderful to watch you interview my friend Matt Ross Bang, to get a sense of community. We were talking earlier about the fact that what is lovely about this show is the fact that this is a real end leisure show. Winter NAMM is all about appointments with dealers, distributors, manufacturers. This show is about people who make music.
Yeah,
which for you and I means it's a really special kind of event.
Yep.
That we get to talk to people who literally make music all day long. That's how they make their living. There's not enough people who get to make their living from music anymore.
Honestly, this is so eclectic, it's crazy. I love it. When I arrived, there's families. There's like people bringing their kids.
You're going to have somebody coming through bringing their 3 triplets to try and get free stuff, and then you're going to have the Rolling Stones Guitar Tech, which, by the way, both of those things happen today.
Yes, I saw both of them. Yes.
And that's the beauty of a show like this, is that you get all of that kind of interaction.
And there's so many great players.
Tell me about what records you've been making lately.
Finished Christian Castro's record. That was fun.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Track and mix?
Everything. Went to Sunset Sound for a week, did basic
nice.
tracking. Changed a few tempos, a few arrangements, a few keys, a couple of times.
Oh, wait a minute. You're an actual producer, I forget that.
Yes, it was actually a lot of work.
Wait a minute. That implies pre-production?
We did, yes, everything.
Now, that's a lost art. It's a lost art for 2 reasons. There's a set of people who don't know how to do it. It's also a lost art from the perspective that financially, we no longer have the chance to say, I'm going to spend 6 weeks with an artist and listen to it, and we're going to experiment. We're going to try changing this bridge. We're going to take it up and modulate it for the outro. We're going to do all these things that we don't have the time to plan that way anymore, which is, again, unfortunate, but is a great thing when you can do it. And you can bring something to the table there, which is...
I mean, it's a blessing. If you actually get to sit in a room with an artist and work on the songs. My favorite records I've ever done have all had a lot of pre-production. Or, just to be honest, they had enough budget sometimes just to be able to make the record properly in the studio.
I mean,
It's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
That's probably one of the things I miss the most is the freedom to be truly creative.
Yeah.
Instead of, we've got 2 days, we've got to get this done.
It's interesting though, because I think about it, when I was a kid and you used to read like Pink Floyd, the Beatles, the Stones, Zeppelin, all made these records in the studio, and you would be like, wow, and some of the songs were even written in the studio. But then you're like, wow, but they still were only like 6 weeks. And sometimes it was like, this one took 2 months.
But they played 5 shows a night.
Yeah, I know.
4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
You hone your product when you do that. And that's another thing that's complicated now because there are few opportunities, or there are less opportunities to play live as frequently.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Without getting specific, I mixed a live album by probably the biggest modern rock band there is. So I mixed their album live. We actually recorded it. We went down to the Wilton and recorded it. And they ended up doing loads of fixes on it. But we mixed it, first of all, sent it to them, and it sounded pretty darn good. And they loved it. But they wanted to do some fixes. So I sent them the files, and everything came back replayed. Drums, no, you couldn't, because there's too much bleed into the room mics. But all the guitars and everything were replayed. Vocals were resung. And I'm talking to the label, and we're discussing it, and they're like, why are they doing this? And I was like, to be quite frank, these guys are like 21 to like 27. I guarantee they've never made a record in the studio like you and I had. I don't think they've ever been in a studio where they all played together, worked on the songs, and then fixed things. That's how we used to make records. You go in, your band's rehearsed, you go in and you play, you get the take. Maybe you chop the bridge in from one take to another, and then maybe there's a few bass mistakes, so you fix a couple of bass notes.
But it's a few things. It's not redo after redo after redo. It's like, that was a
And
great tape, but I got an idea for the bridge.
You keep the rhythm part, unless maybe you didn't like the tone, you changed your mind, but maybe 50% of the album is just scratch rhythm tracks off the floor. And maybe the piano take, you know, and so what you end up doing is you put another keyboard on, you do 2 guitar overdubs, a tambourine and a vocal and some backgrounds, and you finish. And, you know, essentially...
And there was never the concept of we're going to spend a week tuning.
But
we were going to spend 10 minutes tuning before we start playing.
Yeah.
What a concept.
But I was talking to Label about this, and I was like, in their defense, even the big name producers they work with haven't made them do that. So it's not even so much, I don't think it's the kids' fault. I think it's people wanted to get from A to B. If you're like a heavy rock producer these days, you'll get the basic scratch stuff. You'll edit the drums so they're tight as a duck's ass, as we like to say in England, and that's watertight. You know, you lay in, you kick the snare, tick samples, and then you play the bass and you edit it tight, then you play the guitar and you edit those tight, and then you sing on it.
Double it.
Or whatever, and that's the sound. I'm not going to say it's wrong. That's one way of doing super heavy modern rock, and it's not all records, but a lot of heavy rock. So if you're a kid and you go and do a live show and record it, you're not going to hear it like the audience did. It doesn't sound right to them.
Doesn't sound produced in that same way.
Yeah, so that was the discussion I had with the label, because the label were like, why do they want to replay everything? We don't get it. And I was like, because the poor guys, that's all they know.
And they want to see it a certain way. But I think there's also something to this concept of when you were coming up and you were playing in a bar and you played a song and everybody went to get a new beer and went to the bathroom, you knew you had a problem with that song.
Sure.
When you played a song and everybody flooded down and rushed up to the stage and wanted to hear it and were cheering, you had feedback. You said, all right, well, that one, I know it's your favorite song, but everybody goes to B every time you play it.
One thing I found was when you're doing covers, always have a girl singer and always make sure she was cute. We had a lot of good-looking girl singers in our bands. That used to help.
I think it still does.
Especially when we were in what I did a lot of and was great was playing in Europe. There's obviously a tradition of British bands going to Germany and playing. So we go and play in bars and stuff in Germany, but we'd also do American air bases. So we go to like Dresden and play like an American air base. And we had like 2 girl singers. And I remember the audience, like they'd love it because they'd have the pretty girls and we'd do, and then they'd go like, Freebird and stuff like that. And we're like,
we haven't learned that one yet,
but
we're working on it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're working on it.
But it's fun. But I agree.
What's your next project that you're excited about? What are you doing? What's coming up for you?
You know, it always sounds trite to say this, but I love everything I do. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'm working with some young artists, a couple of teenage, artists.
But every now and then you run across a project that you know no one's heard of, nobody's heard this, and you think, oh my God, this is a great song,
right?
Or this is a great performer, and I just want the world to hear about this.
Well, I've been working with this band, Little Empire, now for a year and a half, and we've already done an album, and it's great. And now I'm sort of managing, producing them. And so what I've been doing is I've been letting go of any kind of control over it, and I put them with Bob Horn, and Bob produced a track with them, and that's really much rawer than what I was doing, even though when he mixes, he's more pop than me. When he produces, he's less pop.
His tracking process.
Yeah, so his tracking process was a little looser, and I think that's good for them because working with me, they were super young, they were teenagers when they first started working with me, and I beat them up a lot to turn them into a really good band. And I listened to the album and it sounds phenomenal, but it sounds like a very professional.
Don't forget to join us for hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and live music with the Charlie Daniels Band.
The Charlie Daniels Band.
At 6 p.m. today.
6 p.m.
on the terrace outside the lobby.
Everyone is invited.
Everyone is invited, even though this will be like 2 weeks' time. But so my point is like I'm standing back and I'm letting them, now that they've had that year and a half of working with me and being beaten up in the studio, rewriting the songs and playing on it and all that stuff. Now they're playing shows and they're developing into a live band. So, and the singer is really phenomenal. I'm a huge fan. I think she's really talented. It's like a girl-fronted indie pop band. But that's just, I feel that way about a lot of projects.
So I have a question I've always wanted to ask you. And I'm always interested in this response from a producer, particularly someone who's worked with everyone from neophytes to the biggest names in the industry. When you get stuck, what's your favorite way to get a band unstuck? Like, how do you?
When I'm stuck or when the band's stuck?
When they're stuck.
I mean, you know me. You've watched my stuff. I'm a storyteller, so I love telling stories. I try to read the room as much as I can. I really do. I really try to read the room. It's like, I grew up shy and a bit of a people pleaser. So as I grew and matured and became somebody that became more outgoing, I can draw on my experiences of being the guy. That's the great thing about getting older, especially when you have kids and all that kind of stuff, is you learn, you pick up these tools and you cut yourself a break, you get more at ease with yourself, you get more confident, and suddenly you can take that and look at these people that you go, oh, I remember being like that. And all I wanted was somebody to say, what do you think? And I would have lit up. Because I've always been incredibly creative and I've always been a player. I've always, I play guitar obsessively, I play piano, I play...
But isn't it difficult for you sometimes because there are artists that you work with that you are more facile on your instrument than they are on their own instrument?
Not at all, because my favorite band in the... So this is going to sound like a complete contradiction, but my favorite band in the world is Queen, by far. Best songs, greatest songwriter, amazing guitar player, incredible rhythm section. So I love that. I like the complexity. I was listening to the Yes album on the plane and driving up here. I was listening to the Yes album. So I love prog. I like rock. I also grew up in classical music. I didn't listen to any pop music for most of my childhood. It was all classical music and then jazz from my father. So I've got all of that muso side. You would think, when you put a gun to my head and say, what's the best music? I'll say Queen's my favorite band. And then I'll be like, It Ain't Me, Babe by Bob Dylan's one of the greatest songs ever written. Redemption Song.
The period
period
of Dylan is so just pure songs, and when he's changing,
Just Like a Woman, It Ain't Me, Babe,
music to be.
Bob Marley, Redemption Song, Working Class Hero.
I got to see Marley a number of times back in the day, and once with Bunny and Tosh, the real band, and it was an amazing experience.
You're not that much older than me. You must have been knee-high to a grasshopper.
Really young.
You're really young.
I was 13.
Because he died in 81.
I was 13.
I remember him dying.
And I saw Peter Tosh a couple times in the late 80s as well. I saw Marley 73, because I was 13, and then 78.
Wow. I never saw Marley, but I was into ska, because in the late 70s everybody was into two-tone and ska in England.
Ska and skiffle all came back to us via England. We learned about it via England, not via Jamaica.
Yeah, well, it was all, I mean, it's all of that comes from Chris Blackwell.
Yes.
I mean, that guy was, he was
genius for
total genius.
finding music.
Chris Blackwell went over there, Tough Gong, all that stuff, went and found those artists. I mean, he went all the way back to the 60s with,
and also
Little Lever.
Yeah, and also
Desmond Decker.
Desmond Decker.
The Israelites, yeah.
And he also, even when he turned his spotlight on Northern and Central Africa, he found all these, there was a whole series.
Plus for me, Island Records was like free. It was like, all incredible artists. The Island Records roster was insane. Blackwell, and then, when you two were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they said, we'd like to thank Chris Blackwell. He said, because we didn't recoup until our third album. He goes, now every band would be dropped, probably their first album, most definitely by their second.
Well,
they didn't make any money until their third.
Anyway, I mean, it was...
Right, but to not make $1 until your third album, no label would do that. Not even 15 years ago when they won, let alone now.
So what's the coolest thing you've seen at the show so far?
Well, apart from everything that you're talking about here, Johnathan.
Of course. But I mean, you get to wander to all the booths. I'm stuck in this one a lot. So you get to see some fun things that are lurking around.
Yeah, actually random stuff. It's really good to talk to Doug Thurn.
Yeah.
That was really good. You know what I mean? I walked in because after I came and saw you first, I said hi, put a bag down, went to row number 1. He's on row number 1. I walk halfway down and see Doug Thurn, and I was like, I've used that compressor, and that is a beautiful sounding piece of equipment. And I go over and I'm thinking, I wonder who that guy is. And I look, it's the frickin' guy that makes it in his booth.
Yeah, and he's ignored by a set of people who don't know who he is.
Don't know who he is. So I stop. I start talking to him and said, would you mind if I interview him? He goes, you do produce like a pro. I'm like, do you know who I am? He goes, yeah, I know who you are because I have guys that work for me that watch your show. And he told me that one of them had watched the acoustic guitar layering one and had learned about how to do Nashville tuning, or high-strung, depending. Over here they call it high-strung, or LA.
We call it Nashville tuning. We've always called it Nashville tuning.
Even Nashville?
Yeah. Well, I live in Illinois, so...
Oh, right, yeah.
We always called it Nashville tuning.
So he said, so, these kids were learning from your stuff, and so I watched it. And that was great. So that was fun, and to hear him explain the process of why he made that compressor and why it sounds so good. So that was great. And then just tons of stuff. There's a Canadian amp company, the Glenn Fricker from SpectreSoundStudios, took me over to play, and those 2 amps were insanely good.
Combos, 412s?
One was a small head, and one was a huge head. They both have multiple channels, like multiple guitar sounds within one. So like so I was pretty blown away by that. So just generally like lots of things like that. Oh yeah, and there was this guy making these PRA, I think it was called, and they're going to be in the video, and they are doing wireless system for $300, and it's like this big, and you clip it on your belt, and you plug a thing in, and then it goes. It's just like that's the kind of shit that I care about. I like people
it's
that
fun to find these little niche products because this is where you discover them.
Yeah, and also because, look, I love all the stuff we love, but it has to be for a reason. It can't just because of name recognition. It can't just because of dogma and association. That's all bullshit as far as I'm concerned. I mean that passionately. It's crap. It has to literally serve a purpose, and more importantly these days for me, it has to be something that sticks its head above the crowd and gives me a reason. It has to be
something different. It has to offer a set of features. It has to offer a good value. I think good value. We feel that anything we make, we need to consider bringing something to the table because there's lots of good things out there. So you can't bring it to the table.
And Rupert's competing against himself. He designed
decades of himself.
Yeah, because different versions over the years, from Focusrite to Neve, obviously originally, AMS, AMS Neve, it's like, so it's like, I have an SSL console, and I was talking to somebody about SSL, and they said the biggest problem for SSL is SSL.
Now, have you checked out an atomic power supply for yours?
No, but I'm going to go and see Reed tomorrow, Saturday night before the party.
It's pretty amazing.
Or tomorrow night before the party?
The drop of the noise floor of the console and the drop of your power bill, equally important. Pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, I've got to get I've
doing
seen
them
that
now for
computer.
VRs too.
I've seen that computer, and the problem is it still doesn't do what I need it to do.
That's a different guy. The computer guy's different. Reed just
No, I
does
want
the power
both,
slide.
both of those things.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't want fader control from Pro Tools. What they're doing is they're going, oh, you can now turn your DAW and your. I don't want
control.
that. I need Pro Tools to hit the console consistently, like a line amp, and then the fader has to be controlled here.
The console that you own is very drive specific.
Right.
If you drive it at the right level, it's one of the beautiful things about the SSL. When you get to the sweet spot, which people don't really understand until you're in front of one, when you start driving it all in the sweet spot, the tone just starts to go insane.
It goes insane, and then you slam your meters and you get that natural limiting. It doesn't ever distort, it just limits the crap
But
out
the
of
drive
it.
levels are really critical in that.
Yeah.
Now, you were telling me something the other day, which I didn't know, is that how many of your subscribers are from Australia, are from Germany, from parts
A lot
around
of Germans,
the
a
world?
lot of Australians, and a lot of Canadians.
Can we send a little shout out?
Hello, Australia. Hello, Canada, and hello, Germany, and hello, everybody from all over the world. Does that sound American for you? World?
Yes. World. Sounds a little East Coast, but yes.
That's what I was trying to do.
There you go.
Isn't Nashville on the East Coast? Hey!
It's the no coast.
It's the no coast?
It's the no coast.
It's not the left coast or the right coast, but the middle coast?
It's the no coast.
This has been a really good one. I'm amazed how much...
I know this is your first time, not
First
of
summer
course
one,
not
yeah.
in Nashville, but your first time coming
I've
to
been in
Summer
Nashville
NAMM.
hundreds of times, but yeah, first Summer NAMM, yeah.
And it's a different feeling show from the
Yeah,
West
when you
Coast
said
show.
it was going to be smaller, I think I had a different feel of when you meant by smaller. Because we went to AES...
Maybe more intimate is a better word to use? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not even that. Because we went to AES in New York last year, and that felt small. But it wasn't the size, it just felt small.
It's nowhere near as diverse as this show.
This is just so diverse. That's what you're right. It's just like, I've got everything. Like, there's PV there, and there's you.
And around the
PV,
corner
you.
you'll find Lackland
There's
and
Casio.
Gibson's behind us.
And there's people making great cases over there. Some
Well,
cases.
try our little stands, which are wonderful stands.
Yeah, and look, there's some live PA speakers there as well.
Yeah, we're next
pretty
to a guy
awesome.
with a line array, a mini line array.
There's a guy over there with a lathe, cutting vinyl records.
Is that Chris Mara?
I don't know. There's a lathe over there. There's a drum kit I can see over there. The point is like it's all here. It's like condensed.
You also
all
get
the best
Nashville
bits.
royalty, because over here I see Bill Van Dork, who is Mr. Bluegrass.
Yeah.
Legendary guy. He's the guy in the vest, standing next to Frank Wells, also
Yeah.
a legendary man
Yeah.
in this industry. So that's one of the great things about being here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I bumped into so many of the Produce Like a Pro guys. It's been insane. I've been stopped more times than I would in LA. LA has a certain amount of
Distance?
well, yeah, everybody's like, oh, whatever. So what? There's a famous guy on the movie and blah, blah, blah. You know, nobody cares. They go to the dry cleaners and see James Woods, so they don't really care who you are.
Funny story.
And I think the thing is, let me finish. The reason why I think I've been stopped more here actually is just because I think there's a little bit more of a customer base here. You know, this is definitely people that play instruments and want to record it properly. Look, you're talking to royalty.
And work. Hey, Bill, how are you, sir?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that, what was I going to say? I had something useful to say, but it's all gone. I'm talked out for the day, I guess. I guess this means
It's a long day for Johnathan Page.
It's been a great pleasure to be here with our good friend Warren Huart, Connor, who never gets any love on the other side of the camera, and everyone in the Produce Like a Pro family, from Rupert Neve Designs, SC Electronics. We love you guys.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.